Good evening. I'm Rhonda at Carnivore Leo, bringing you news you can use from the community. Tonight's topic was inspired by April Osteen Simmons, who recently talked about shifting perspectives on her channel. April is the youngest sibling of Joel Osteen, pastor of Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas, and she is married to worship and praise leader Pastor Gary Simmons. April is a life coach, motivational speaker, author, and the creator of the Better Life podcast. I'm going to summarize the key points I've learned from her recent podcast about shifting perspectives. Experts say your outlook shapes your life more than your life shapes your outlook. Perspective is everything. Your attitude and how you look at life can really make or break you. It can set you up to have either a great day or not so great day. You can shift your perspective. Harvey Mackay said, when you wake up every day, you have two choices. You can either think positive or negative. You can be an optimist or a pessimist. I choose to be an optimist. It's all a matter of perspective. How many times does God give us miracles along the way? Speaking of perspective, sometimes we focus so intently on waiting for that huge miracle that we forget to thank God for all of the little answers to prayers that He's provided along the way. Like with our carnivore lifestyle, some have improved and reversed several metabolic diseases, but only focused on their weight loss stall and weren't grateful for all of the non-scale victories. When we look back on all of the things that have gone right in our lives, it shifts our vision away from our present problems. If we do just a little reflecting, we just might discover our world isn't as bad as our minds have been trying to tell us. In fact, we might see that life is really pretty good. When you have the right perspective on life, you are aware of the little things in life. You focus on what you have. Happy people focus on what they have. Unhappy people focus on what they're missing. It's all about perspective. To illustrate this, April told a story about an elderly man named George who was well into his 80s, and he had a routine he followed every day. At 9:15 a.m. on the dot, he went to the nursing home to have breakfast with his beautiful wife. She suffered from Alzheimer's and hadn't recognized him for the past 5 years. A nurse in the facility watched as George came every day, happy and excited to see his wife. She saw him feed her and make conversation with her, even though she never replied. It didn't seem to bother George. The nurse saw how gentle he was with her and how he wiped her face after she had finished eating. Finally, one day, the nurse stopped him and said, "George, why do you show up every single day at 9:15 a.m. to have breakfast with your wife when it's clear she no longer knows who you are?" George smiled and patted the nurse on the hand and responded, "She may no longer know who I am, but I still know who she is." George is someone who has shifted his perspective. He didn't focus on the time that they had apart or on what he was getting in return, but instead he chose to focus on what they had together. He didn't dwell on the fact that she didn't know who he was, but instead he put all of his attention on the woman he still loved with all his heart. Shifting your perspective also means that you live in a lifestyle of gratitude. The scripture says, "In everything give thanks, for this is the will of God." There's something about being grateful that changes your world. It shifts your mindset and your perspective. You begin to notice the little things happening in your life. If you think about it, there's so many reasons to be grateful in life. How about being grateful for having food on the table or for getting a paycheck? You can even be grateful for being able to pay your rent and for having a roof over your head. Be grateful you are not in the hospital or living on the street. Some people aren't afforded that same blessing. Shift your perspective. Shifting your perspective can apply with the carnivore lifestyle as well. There is always the amazing gift of today. You may not be exactly where you want to be, but thank God you are not where you used to be. It's all about perspective. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at begin to change. Shift your perspective. Be grateful for the health benefits you received from living the carnivore lifestyle. Be grateful for the pain and inflammation that is no longer there. Be grateful for all of the non-scale victories. When you've gone through the pain and suffering as a result of eating a standard American diet and have made it to the other side of no longer having those issues, it should shift your perspective for the better. Shifting your perspective also means that you focus on the positive. Abraham Lincoln said, "We can complain because rose bushes have thorns or rejoice because thorn bushes have roses." I just love that. When you focus on the good gets better. When you subtract the negative, your life instantly becomes positive. In closing, April stated that you don't need to have to search for joy and happiness. Joy and happiness aren't always found in the extraordinary. They are sprinkled all over your life. They include celebrating and being grateful for what God has already given you right now, right here, and all around you. Every day is a gift. Every breath you take is a gift. You are given today, while some people weren't given that opportunity. April encourages us to do what we can with the time we have right now. Look for all of the small miracles along the way. Be mindful of the things so many people take for granted. Life doesn't have to get good for you to start enjoying it. Shift your perspective. Start and end each day with a grateful heart. Focus on the good and the positive, and be grateful for what you have. Just you watch. The moment you start acting like life is a blessing is the moment it starts to become one. This has been news you can use from the community. Thank you for watching, and good night.